Okay, good evening, everybody. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you once I can get my little slideshow going here. Okay, so tonight, my idea was to introduce the 3 iris colors to you. And let me give you a little bit let me give you a little bit of information about myself to you. Some of you have already heard me talk a little bit. You know, I do these little 1-hour webinars once in a while, and some of you are completely new. And so let me give you a little bit of information. I am President and CEO of Joyful Living Services. And I am now, my school, Joyful Living Services, has now been sanctioned and accredited by the International Iridology Practitioners Association, which I'm so excited about. I'm so happy and so excited about. I am a comprehensive iridology instructor with IPA, with the International Iridology Practitioners Association, and a certified nutritional consultant with the American Association of Nutritional Consultants, all those big words. There's my website, joyfullivingservices.com, my email, iridology@netzero.net, and there's my phone number if you want to call me and ask me questions. Best way to reach me is Facebook messaging. I'm on it all the time, except for when I'm sleeping. So it comes up, it pops up on my phone. I've got it automatic, and I'm always kind of there. So I can answer questions pretty easily. So let me tell you a little bit about me. And so here I am. This was a long, long time ago. I began iridology in about 1983 when I had my own health issues. I was dating a guy whose best friend's girlfriend had endometriosis and was in a lot of pain every month and had a lot of problems. And she was seeing an iridologist and getting really good results. I was having all kinds of digestive problems. I was dating, and you know how stressful that can be. So it was a stress bomb and lots of digestive problems. I got to the point where I couldn't even eat out without just being sick all the time. So he suggested that I see an iridologist, and I found Chris down in the Bay Area and went and saw him. And he read my eyes, told me all these things that I needed to do and what was wrong with me, and gave me supplements to take and detoxes to do. And I did everything. And guess what? I got better. I got better. And, you know, I thought, well, I want to learn more about this. So I sent some of my friends to him, and they got better. So I called him up one day and I said, how can I learn more about this? And he said, Dr. Jensen teaches iridology down in Escondido. Why don't you call down there and see if you can take one of his classes? So it just so happened that they were teaching a class in August. I signed up for the beginning class, not knowing if I'd be interested in it. I got down there and I loved it. I loved looking at eyes, absolutely loved it. So I stayed down there and took the advanced class, got fully certified by Dr. Jensen. And the next week, they started referring clients to me. And really, I really didn't know what I was doing other than what I learned in the classes. But I had a lot of support, and I did a lot of studying with my own health and with my friends. So I was able to kind of, you know, I started right then, and I have been seeing clients ever since. Now, I don't see a lot of clients now individually. I do a lot of remote readings, and my main passion is I love to teach. So I am not like a lot of other people that get into iridology because they want to learn it. They want to learn it for themselves. They want to learn it for their family. They want to learn it for their clients. They might already have a business and, you know, want to include it in their business. I got into iridology because I was sick. And so I kind of fell into it, fell in love with it. And here I am. Oh my gosh, that was in 1989 when I got certified. So we're not going to talk about that, but that was 31 years ago. And, you know, who would have thought I'd still be here? So I became a member of IPA in 2018, and I became certified as a comprehensive iridology instructor again this year, which is very exciting. And now my other goal was to get Joyful Living Services approved and sanctioned through IPA, which Joyful Living Services, my company, is now sanctioned and accredited through IPA. So it's a really big deal, and I'm very excited about it. So my future goal is to write a book. I really want to write an iridology book and make some charts. So I think my next goal here is going to be to make a couple of eye charts. Let me go in, before I show you a bunch of pictures of eyes, I wanted to talk a little bit about what is iridology, because, you know, a lot of people go, ooh, I want you to look at my eye, and I know nothing about it. And so with comprehensive iridology, constitutional iridology, iridology is the study of the color and the structure of the iris of the eye as it relates to your genetic predispositions, okay, and the health of body systems. So if you're in my Facebook group, you're probably watching the threads, you're watching my posts, you're seeing what I'm saying, you know, don't diagnose, and everything has to do with your predispositions. It's coming down through 3 to 5 generations. So basically from your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, their health issues, the things that they did, their emotions, all of that, it keeps coming down, coming down, coming down, and it comes to you. And you get to deal with all of those strengths and weaknesses, predispositions that are coming through through the line. So how do we use iridology? By looking at the iris, we can see genetic tendencies. Okay, and the whole idea, the way I look at iridology, where iridology really shines, is that it allows you, by learning your genetic tendencies, you can learn what to eat, you can learn how much you need to drink, how much exercise you need to do, what kind of a lifestyle you need to live, where maybe, you know, the best temperature, where you should live, so that as you know, when you're in your 80s, you're not hunched over in so much pain. You're actually comfortable, because based on those genetic tendencies, based on your predispositions, you learn about your body, how it is, so that you can live comfortably in your body. Rather than telling your body what you want it to do and how you want it to be, you get to learn about your body, and then you get to learn how to live in your body comfortably. That's kind of the way that I look at it. Okay, iridology does not name diseases. We can't look at the eye and say, you have this, and you have that, and you have this. But instead, it shows us what areas need nurture. Okay, basically what needs nurture, what needs strengthening. And so in Northern California, we're finding there are 3 styles of iridology. There's Jensenian, okay, Dr. Jensen, who certified me, and there is RAID, which is emotional iridology. That is taught by Denny Johnson. So if you're interested in learning a lot about the emotions, for, you know, the emotions, RAID iridology goes into the emotional side of it. Okay, Denny Johnson, that's what Denny Johnson, and then Jim Burgess, he teaches behavioral iridology. So if you're interested in learning about emotional iridology and behavioral iridology, those are the people to study with. Constitutional iridology is what I teach. I do teach I do have a Jensen background, so I do use a lot of the information that I learned from Dr. Jensen in my courses, but what I really do teach and focus on is the constitutional iridology. You can see here it was originated by Joseph Deck, and there are others. It's used by MDs in Italy, Germany, Russia. There are many medical studies being done. It teaches that the eyes are a reflection of genetic or inherent structure of the body. It's not transitional, okay? It's accumulative. It does not give us answers. It tells us what questions to ask. So, you know, instead of seeing something in somebody's eye and saying, well, you have this or you need to do that, it basically, we see the markings, and instead of saying that, we ask the questions. And that also keeps us out of trouble. And there are some changes that can occur in the iris as time goes on, but really the iris really doesn't change a whole lot. And then we also try not to do cold readings. So let me give you a little bit of information about IPA. IPA was founded for the purpose of increasing and communicating knowledge. We're basically trying to get everybody on the same page. And there I am right there. That's me. This was one of the conferences that I went to. This is probably the one where I originally became an instructor. But basically, IPA is a certifying organization. It is an organization where all of us can come together, like minds. We speak the same language. We're learning the same concepts. There is continual research all of us are doing research. I mean, there's people, you know, that come to these conferences from all different countries, and that have their own client base, and we're all doing research on our own and coming together and sharing that research. There's continuing education every month. But basically the whole idea is to have iridology standards, and those standards and that curriculum, that is what I teach in my courses. So we all basically stay on the same page. Okay, so 3 iris colors. There are 3 iris colors: blue, mixed, and brown. Okay, we used to think that there was only blue and brown, and that was it. But, you know, as people come together from different ethnic groups, you know, you take a blue eye, you take one person that's a blue eye and one person that's a brown eye, and they have a baby, you know, and sometimes that eye can become a mixed eye, or maybe it'll stay blue. Okay, so this is my eye here in the center. I have a mixed eye, and this is my son's eye. He has a blue eye. My husband also has a blue eye. Okay, but I have a mixed eye. So if you look at my family, my grandmother has a blue eye. Both my mother and father have a mixed eye. And then my great-grandmother had a blue eye. So now my great-grandfather, I'm not sure if he was brown or if he had a mixed eye. I don't know. But these are the 3 colors. So blue is called lymphatic. Mixed is called a mixed biliary. Biliary stands for bile, okay, which has to do with the liver. And a brown is called hematogenic. So here's a nice blue eye. That's my son's eye. So a blue iris, when you see a blue iris, usually the eye will look either blue, green, or sometimes it can look hazel from far away. But when we put it under high-powered magnification, it will really appear predominantly blue. Okay, a blue eye can have different color pigments that can cause the eye from a distance to look green or hazel. And you've seen them in the Facebook group. I just posted one earlier today, a lady that had a blue eye, but she had so many of those, she had amazing eyes. She had so many pigments in her eyes that it makes her eye look like a mixed eye. She thought, you know, maybe her eyes were green. But if you think of color crayons, you think of, you know, when you're coloring a paper and you think of a blue and then you put yellow on top, what are you going to get? You're going to get green. And so from far away, it makes it look green. Tendencies of a blue eye usually have to do with mucus, okay, arising from an overactive lymph system. These are the tendencies. Overactive immune system, possible infection of the mucous membranes. And the common reaction sites would be things like tonsils, adenoids, upper respiratory, lungs, sinuses, the genitourinary tract, lining of the stomach, intestines, and joints. And then also people with blue eyes can have issues with skin, okay, such as psoriasis, eczema, dandruff, dry skin, arthritis, rheumatic disorders, stiffness, aching muscles. And now these are predispositions. It doesn't mean, or these are tendencies, it doesn't mean that just because somebody has a blue eye that they're going to have these problems. Also blue eyes, usually they can have overstressed kidneys, adrenal weakness, and thyroid insufficiencies and things like that. So there's a list. But just because that somebody has a blue eye doesn't mean that they have those problems, okay? There are tendencies of a blue eye, but there again, it really depends on their family history. It depends on how they, you know, what they do, how they live, how much stress they have, what, you know, what they eat, you know, do they do drugs, you know? There's so many factors that come into play. And I have a PowerPoint. I will send that out. Since I am recording this, I'll send the PowerPoint out and I'll send my notes out so you'll have all this information. So you don't have to write like crazy as I'm talking unless you want to, but there'll be suggestions in there also. So here we have the mixed eye, and that's my eye. You can see how different that is from the blue eye. So here's the blue eye. If you look at it, you can see it's blue and white. It's pretty simple. And here is my eye, and this is a mixed eye. And it kind of looks kind of orangey, doesn't it? Kind of orange and brown. So it kind of looks darker here in the middle. And then you can see I have these rings here. And then underneath here, you can kind of see maybe some green down here, and which really is blue. You can see the blue coming through on the lower areas of the iris. So this is a light brown or mixed iris. Okay, so under magnification, this biliary iris will have brown pigmentation on top, okay, with these, like I said, with these fibers in here showing through. You can see it's a little bit lighter. And the tendencies for a mixed eye is all digestion. It's all digestion: stomach, colon, liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. Everything having to do with digestion. Liver, gallbladder insufficiencies, weakness in pancreas, so blood sugar fluctuations are really common. Gastrointestinal disturbances. So, you know, what I said about myself, right? When I first got involved in iridology, it was all about, you know, digestion and stress. And then could be, you know, constipation, diarrhea, flatulence, blood sugar highs and lows, liver, gallbladder, all of those kinds of things can be tendencies for a mixed biliary iris. And then here we have a brown iris, which is pronounced hematogenic. And a hematogenic iris, you can't even see hardly anything. It looks like, usually it looks like it's just kind of velvety. It looks like somebody just put a layer of brown pigment right on top of everything. Now you can see these rings here going around, but even those are pretty brown. So really a brown eye is just going to look like velvet. You're not going to see all those, you know, all those lines that you see in a blue eye. You're not going to see the white. You're not going to see any of the pretty colors, because it's really just a brown eye. You'll see rings, you'll see rings going around, but you're not going to see pretty colors. So this one here on a brown eye, you're going to see pigments, but the pigments will usually be in the sclera, and the sclera is the white part of the eye. So a lot of people that have brown eyes will have some brown in their sclera. Tendencies, imbalance of blood composition, possibly thick blood, okay, inability to store minerals. They have a harder time with minerals. Hardening of lymph tissue. Okay, anemia, potential anemia, circulatory issues, glandular system. So a brown eye is definitely a lot different. So a blue-eyed person tends to have respiratory and lymphatic genetic tendencies, and a mixed eye tends to have more of the digestive, and then the brown eye tends to have more blood and bone. It's an easy way to look at it. So here's all this information that kind of I just went over. I'm just gonna kind of breeze through here. I put these in here thinking that I was just going to go through it, but I have a lot of pictures I want to show you. These are some of the things that you can do for a blue-eyed person, and I will make sure that you receive all of these suggestions, and you can find these all in the Facebook group also, because when somebody has a blue eye, I usually post the things that somebody can do to improve their health if they have a blue eye. Now the other thing is, with a blue eye, with the eyes, we're not only looking at the color, but we're also looking at what we call subtypes. And there's subtypes based on the structure of the eye, and then there's subtypes based on the color of the eye. And that is those are two huge subjects that takes a while to learn. It's not something that I can go over in a really quick little webinar like this, but you'll see that I will post, you know, information on subtypes in the Facebook group, and that's based on the markings that show up in the eye. That's based on the structure. So the structure meaning the different markings in here. So the structure meaning how wavy these fibers are, or the color meaning how white these spots are, or how much yellow's in here. So what I've done here is I've given you quite a few examples of a blue eye. So I thought I would run through here and show you some eyes. I picked a bunch of eyes from my class, and just to show you the different shades there was one woman in the Facebook group that was really concerned because she didn't think she had blue eyes because her eyes were more of a darker grayish, a blue gray. But the blue eye can be many shades of blue. It doesn't have to be a bright blue. It doesn't have to be a dark blue. It all has to do with the genetic tendencies, and it has to do with all of these fibers. This is called fibers here. These are iris fibers. And it also has to do with these little pigments. You know, a lot of people post their pictures and they want to know what the pigments mean. And so a lot of times it has to do with the pigments. I have what, let's see, there's a question. I have what appears to be a brown eyes, but flecks of green. So does that mean I have a mixed eye? Probably. I'd have to look at it. Chances are you probably have a mixed eye because I'll show you some blue eyes here. And this is a blue eye with some, you can see it has yellow here in the center and it has a couple little orange pigments. And these are all blue and you can see how different they all are. Here's another one, another blue eye. And this has some more white on the top here. You can see white here, kind of a little bit of yellow here in the center. Look at this eye. Isn't that amazing? That's an incredible eye. I think that is just you know, I'm going to say that a lot, so expect me to say how beautiful all these eyes are. Because I really think that all the eyes are beautiful. And all of these little pigments mean different things, okay? So usually, I'll explain really quickly, usually yellow in the eye has to do with kidneys, orange in the eye has to do with pancreas, and brown, and so this is orange here, and this is yellow here, and then this is brown. And brown usually has to do with the liver. And so when we see these colors, we know that there is a possibility. So if we see yellow, we know that there can be a tendency towards issues with the kidneys. Okay. When we see orange, we know there can be a tendency towards blood sugar imbalance. So up and down with the blood sugar. And then when we see brown, we know there can be a tendency towards issues with methylation, which is a fancy word for detoxing, and digestive issues. So, but isn't that a beautiful eye? That's a gorgeous eye. Okay, here's another blue eye with a few little pigments. What if it's red? I think red has to do with gallbladder. Okay, so, but you know what? It may not be red. It could be more of a reddish brown. So it really depends on what the color is and what it looks like. If you think you have red in your iris, send me the picture. I'll look at it because it may be more of like a rusty color. Look at this eye. This is a pretty cool eye? And see, this is darker. This is darker. This is a darker iris with a lot of white here around the outside and darker here in the center. There's my son's eye again, and my son this is called a funnel. My son has a funnel in his eye, and this has to do with when he was born, he got trapped in the birth canal, and the doctor twisted his head and pulled him, and damaged the brachial plexus nerves. Those nerves go down from your neck down your arm into your hand. So he was paralyzed when he was born. And I had Reiki done on him, which helped quite a bit. And took him to the chiropractor, and we did a lot of physical therapy, took him to Shriners, did physical therapy on him every time we changed his diaper to help him with his arm. And now his arm is almost normal. But of course, this is genetic. And so that weakness was there even before he was born. So even if the doctor hadn't pulled on his head and twisted it, and you know, he may still have had a problem just because of his structure. Here we have another blue eye. You can see this is kind of a little dirty orange color. You can see how these are all different. This one has a white ring, you know, and I'm not going to go into all these. These are all things that I teach in my classes, and it takes quite a while to learn all these things, what they all mean. But you can see the difference in the irises, the colors. Look at this one. This is amazing. Look how white this is. I'll tell you right now that white has to do with inflammation. So this is so white, and white usually looks like it's just kind of standing on top. It almost looks like a spider. This is just amazing. But this is a blue eye. It's a steel blue eye, but it's blue and has a lot of this orange pigment all over the place. So this is also a blue eye. Here we have another blue eye. I have a lot of blue eyes. I would say that most of my clients have blue eyes, and then I would say probably maybe a third have mixed, and I have quite a few mixed too, though. But I hardly have any brown. Hardly have any hematogenic eyes. Here's another blue. These are all blue eyes. Here's another blue. This is a huge pupil. So in iridology, we also look at the size and the shape of the pupil. Orange has to do with blood sugar. Has to do with imbalance in blood sugar. So hypoglycemia, diabetes, that kind of stuff. And here we have orange, and then we can see some orange here and some yellow on these dots. But in iridology, not only do we look at the iris, but we also look at the pupil, we look at the shape, the size of the pupil, and we also look at the sclera, and we look at the rings, any rings that are in the eye. So we look at all kinds of things. Another blue eye is pretty dark. Look how dark this one is. This is very dark. That's a really pretty eye. Another eye. This is just so you know, this is from the light. This is just a glare from the light. Rings, we have multiple rings in the eye and also around the eye. But this topic today was supposed to be about eye color. So I don't really want to go into the description of all the rings. But you can see there's a kind of a yellowish ring here and a blue ring here. And then there's also can be a white ring, and then there can be rings on the iris. There's all types of rings. And so you can see these rings here. This is what everybody knows as stress and sensitivity rings. So here and now they're starting to get a little bit more yellow. So this iris would look kind of green. If you were standing in front of this person, you'd probably think that they had a green eye. But when we enlarge it like this, we can really see the blue, and then we can see the yellow just kind of sitting on top, almost like little puffs of cotton, like clouds. Okay, and that's what makes it look green. Here's another blue. And so in iridology, we also look at, this is called the collarette, and we look at the shape and we look at the size. We look if it's small or large. We look at all these fibers here to see if they're straight, if they're wiggly, if they're white, if they're dark, depending on what color they are. And that means all different kinds of things based on, what's showing up in the eye. Now, this eye would definitely look green if you were standing in front of this person. This is a blue eye, and it has lots of yellow, yellow all over. But you can see in between all the yellow, there's a lot of blue. So this is a lymphatic eye, but in front of this person, they would look like they had a green eye. And here's another one. Now, this one actually has orange, and this is what I was saying, the orange pigment. Orange has to do with blood sugar, and then a lot of yellow, and there's orange in here too. But you can see underneath here, this is all blue. So this is a blue eye with a lot of yellow and a lot of orange. Okay. No, that's amazing. That's an amazing eye. It looks like it's, when you look at this, you can almost see the layers. This is the top layer, and then here's the next layer, and then there's another layer underneath that. You can almost count the layers. And with iridology, you can spend hours looking at one eye. This eye in particular, I could sit here and study this eye, and an hour would just blow by. Because with iridology, we're looking at rings, and we're looking at the fibers, and we're looking at the spots and the pigments, and we're looking at the color, and we're looking at the pupil, and we're looking at the sclera, and we're looking at shapes and sizes, and and markings like this where the fibers are going sideways, and things that look like holes and things that look like lines, and you know, we're looking at everything in the eye. This is a really pretty eye. Of course, they're all pretty. They're all pretty. This is a really pretty eye with, and you can see these little cotton balls. They just kind of looks like it's sitting here. And here is kind of this rust color. That's why I was wondering about the red. It might look like this, and this has to do usually with gallbladder when it's kind of this rusty red color. And orange and yellow and whites and all these different colors. And browns. Here's brown pigments showing up. This is kind of similar to the picture that was posted today that had all those brown pigments. The woman said that she had blue eyes when she was little, and then she developed these freckles. She said they were freckles. And so this kind of looks the same. With this person has these, we call them genetic pigments. So now we have the mixed eye, and here's this information again that I already talked about. That's the light brown iris. You can see pigments, and these are all the tendencies, but mostly the tendencies are digestive: liver, gallbladder, pancreas, so on. And these are some of the ways to improve the health in a mixed eye. And using good fats, eliminating refined, you know, most of this is common sense, but mostly focusing on digestion and improving digestion, especially the liver, and colon cleansing, and so on. Okay, here's a mixed iris. So see how different it is? This is totally different from a blue eye. You know, the blue eye, you can see all those fibers all over the place. You can see the layers. And a mixed eye, you can really see the brown in here. This whole area is brown, but you can see the orange in here. Underneath, in the layer underneath, you can see blue down inside here. Okay, down underneath the second layer, you can see the blue. Okay, and so that tells us that this is a mixed eye. It has both blue and brown, both blue and brown in here. And you know, in the class, this really is the most difficult constitutional color to learn. It is challenging to learn the difference between a blue and a mixed eye. Because there are certain factors involved in determining if it's a blue or a mixed eye. And sometimes we really do have to talk to our client to find out about their parents and their grandparents and so on to really determine the true color of somebody's eye. But this is definitely not a blue eye, as you should be able to tell based on the pictures that I showed you. Here is another mixed eye. And so it's, you know, we have the brown in here, and it's, you know, usually it's going to be a little darker here in the center. This is the stomach and the colon in here. And then there's a lot of orange and a lot of brown. Here's more of these pigments and yellows. And so, and in between here, you can see the blue. So here you can see the blue here at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock and 5:30. And you can see the blue in these areas. Okay, so it is a mixed eye. It is not brown. If it was brown, it would just look like velvet. That's it. Okay, it would look like velvet. So this is a mixed eye. There's my eye, and this is a mixed eye. And I had a conversation with somebody yesterday on Facebook talking about the difference between Jensen Iridology and the current research that we've learned about. And I talked about how, you know, when I got certified, Dr. Jensen told me that I have blue eyes. You know, and I was excited when he told me. I thought, cool, I'm going to do a bunch of cleansing and my eyes are going to turn blue. Yeah, well, okay. So here it is, you know, 30 years later, and my eyes haven't changed at all. So this is where iridology has really changed. You know, for those of you that maybe came up with, you know, studied with Jensen like I did, and maybe you're learning now about the current research. There's so much research going on. And iridology is a science just like any other science. it continues to evolve. We continue to do research, and we learn new things, and we may learn something that changes what we learned in the past. It doesn't mean that we don't still have respect for those people that did that research in the past. I mean, we all have a lot of respect for Dr. Jensen. He was amazing. He was a wonderful man. He used to go around and say everything was wonderful. I'll never forget, him. And he really was. He was wonderful. And he brought iridology here to the United States. So if it wasn't for him, who knows what would have happened? Maybe somebody else would have brought it. I don't know. But he brought it. He continued the research. And then, when he passed, he delegated it to his daughter-in-law, to Ellen Jensen, and she has continued on the path and continued researching. And that is where IPA came into play. And so we're still on the same path. We're just learning more information. So the current research is showing us that the eye really doesn't change, and it is genetic. Okay, this is my eye. And I need to have somebody take a new picture, because the last one I have is 2016. But here you can see my eye. There's 2006, there's 2012, and there's 2016. Well, my eye hasn't changed. Every time I show these pictures to every class, I ask my students to go ahead, see if you can find how my eyes have changed. You may say that the 2012 and the 2016 are a little different in color. Yeah, but if you look at the skin color. See how the skin color is more pink in this 2012 than it is in 2016? That means the lighting was different. Also, notice the pupil in the 2012 versus the 2016. The pupil in 2012 is bigger than 2016. So if you think of the pupil contracts when you shine light in it, or it's supposed to, and then it's supposed to enlarge when you're in the dark area or you don't have as much light. Well, when it contracts, it's a muscle. When it contracts, it's going to pull all of these markings towards the center. And when it enlarges, it is going to push all of these markings to the perimeter, to the outside. So it's going to look like it's changed, but really it hasn't. It really hasn't changed. And the color hasn't changed because that's who I am. I have a mixed biliary eye, and I have had to learn, trust me, I've had to learn how to live in my body. Otherwise, I'd be on, I really thank goodness for my boyfriend at the time, that he had a friend that was having so many problems, and she learned about iridology, because, I was going to the doctors and they were telling me to do things. And, if I hadn't found iridology and met Chris, I'd probably be, who knows, on so many medicines. And because I had IBS, I had irritable bowel syndrome really bad, and breaking out in hives all over my body. I couldn't lay flat on the bed because I was in so much pain, and addicted to laxatives. I had so many problems. And, I've had to learn how to work with my body. And, I've used many herbs, changed my diet, many cleanses, gallbladder flushes, liver flushes, colon cleanses, you name it, I've done it. Colonics, kalimas, massage, chiropractic. I've done all kinds of things. And so I've learned what works for my body, but my eye hasn't changed. So that is my left eye, and here's my right eye. There again, 2006, 2012, 2016. And this one here looks a little darker, but really, if you look at the different markings, they're all the same. And the color really is the same. There again, if you look at the skin tone, you'll see the skin tone is a little different. So the color, the flash, the camera flash was a little different. Really, the eyes change. The way the eyes change is pigments will continue to come in as you age. So normally you'll get more of those genetic pigments, and some of the rings will get a little darker. And then also, I was talking about that on Facebook today. It's called aqueous humor, and it's the liquid that's inside your eye. It can change, and then sometimes that can make your eye look a little different. Here's another mixed eye. mixed biliary. So you can see all this orange, lots of orange and the brown, and then underneath this blue. Ooh, I gotta move on like 15 minutes. Okay, here's another mixed eye. This kind of is similar to the one that was on Facebook. Here's black, here's brown, here's orange, yellow. So all these different colors can show up. Here's another mixed eye. This one definitely, if you stand in front of this person, you would say they have a bright green eye. Really beautiful, beautiful blue eye, and then or mixed eye, and then with this dark ring here on the outside. Really pretty. Looks like they took a pencil and just lined their iris here with a pencil. Another mixed eye. You can see they're getting darker, I kind of tried to make it a little darker. This iris is amazing. This is a boy that I saw. He was 8 years old, and he had stunted growth, and he was allergic to everything, and he was very weak. But nice little kid. But this is his eye. He has a mixed biliary eye with lots and lots of space in between all these fibers. But a beautiful, beautiful eye. Of course, they're all, like I said, they're all beautiful. Okay, brown, hematogenic. And here is information on the brown eye. Little or no fibrous display means pretty much it's going to look like velvet. Okay, and areas of irritation will appear lighter. Okay, but there can be brown pigment in the sclera, which is the white part of the eye. Okay, and if there's brown pigment far away from the iris, it can indicate possible liver congestion. So here's the tendencies, which I already talked about: the imbalance in blood composition, thick blood, inability to store essential minerals, constriction, hardening of lymph, disturbances in the gastrointestinal tract, tendency for anemia, glandular system, and liver, gallbladder, spleen. Potential. Okay, the word here is potential. And these are the things to do that can help support the blood, raw vegetable juices, and there again, avoid fried foods, and a diet rich in enzymes, and so on and so on, cleaning the colon, and so on. Okay, here's a brown eye. See how it looks? See how different it is than a blue eye? This is the hematogenic iris. It looks like velvet. Okay, you can't see all those beautiful white fibers. You can't see all those little white spots. You can't see the yellows and the oranges. You can't see any of that in a hematogenic iris. It's brown, but you can see this white ring. You can see this white ring, and you can see these rings here, which I said that could show stress. And you can see out here on the sclera some brown out here, yellow. And you can see other things in here once you're trained, but the hematogenic iris is just, it looks brown. Okay, it looks brown. And here's another one. Here's another hematogenic. This one, this pupil is huge. This is my daughter's eye. She likes to stay in the dark. Her favorite thing is to go in her room and stay in the dark by herself. She's 19, and she really values her alone, quiet time. So these bright light, this is all reflection from the eyelashes. But here we have a brown eye. You can see how velvety it is, very velvety. Here is another brown eye. See how velvety it looks? You can't see those fibers at all, and you can't see blue. You can't see blue. Yellow has to do, see, somebody asked, what does yellow mean? It has to do with kidneys. I notice vegetable juice keeps coming up. Can you explain, does it matter what vegetables or all vegetables? It's usually green vegetables to help detox and build, because green vegetables tend to be high in iron. Okay, so here is a brown iris, very velvety. You can almost see here the texture here. If you look really closely, you can see just the texture is amazing here. Another brown eye. This one, you can actually see the spots. And in the information, it said that when you can see a little bit of light in a brown eye, that usually has to do with inflammation. Another brown eye, another hematogenic iris. And so with the hematogenic iris, we really have to talk to our client a lot, and we have to look at the rings. And we usually end up asking a lot of questions, but we do have intake forms. So we always ask our clients to fill out the intake forms so that we know why they want to see us, what's going on. That way, we have that information and we can help our clients. And my very favorite iris overall, I've posted this in the Facebook group. I found this online. This was taken by Surin, I don't know how to say the last name, Manvilin. And I did contact the person to ask them what kind of a camera they use, but I didn't hear back. I never got a response. But this is amazing. And in iridology, I've used this iris in our class, and we just pick it apart. Because all of these lines, everything looks like a hole. All of these, everything that looks like a stripe, these all mean different things in iridology. This collarette and how high it is, and these rings. I mean, all of this means something to the iridologist. And so it's very complicated, and it takes time to learn, but once you learn it, it's amazing. When you look at the eye right now, you look at the eye and you go, oh, he has blue eyes, or he has mixed eyes, or he has brown eyes, or whatever. Or, oh, look, there's a little brown spot in that eye. So right now, that's, when you look at a person, you see that. But when you learn iridology, it's no longer, oh, he has a blue eye or a mixed eye or a brown eye. Now it's, wow, look at that, and I know what that means. All these lines and spots and marks, and this looks like a rib here, and what does all this mean? It all has to do with health. And on that note, I want to thank you for attending. I think I left a little bit of time for questions. I want to thank you for attending today. And I do have I've got a class running right now where we're working in level 2 right now, going towards certification. But I have the next class is coming up August 11th through November 17th. I do give the class live Tuesday, Thursday mornings from 8 to 10 Pacific Standard Time. If you want to take the class, you're not available during those hours, I do record it, and it is available. I have a student login where it's all password protected, and I put all the videos and all the files, and it's all live, and you can watch it on your own time. Registration's open. I have payment plans, discount pricing for students and past graduates. There's the link. You can go to the website, Joyful Living Services, and I do have flexible payment plans if you want to take the class. I do teach private classes, group classes, and I do one-on-one tutoring. There is my email and phone number. And so at this point, I'm going to stop the share and open it up and see who has other questions. So if you want, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment or.
I have a question. This is Terry in Chicago.
Hi, Terry.
Hi. What exciting class do you have next planned for us?
I don't know. I mean, I have this month in July, I'll probably do one more, because then in August I start the next series. So we'll see what I come up with. I have no idea. I'll have to think about it.
You mentioned that you also are certified, did you say with nutrition?
Yes.
Okay, so do you ever offer any information where you talk about the connection with the eye and what you see in nutrition?
I do in the course. Yeah.
Oh, in the course. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I was wondering about that. And I think I mentioned to you, I'm excited. I finally got a new phone with a better camera. So I'm hoping to send you pictures.
Good. I'd like to see them. Great.
Thank you for your time and explaining everything. It was very, very helpful.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? No other comments or questions? Vera, go ahead and unmute yourself.
So you mentioned that you have a discount, or first of all, how many, okay, so when you're giving the class, is it how many hours at a time are you giving it? Does that make sense?
2 hours.
2 hours, okay.
2 hours. So the way the class is right now, it's 2 hours on Tuesday and 2 hours on Thursday.
Is it overwhelming?
It's a lot. It's a lot, but you know, it's repetitive, and you do learn it. It's a lot of work, and but you do learn it. So the class, usually in that 2 hours, I'll either cover 1 or 2 subjects. It really depends. And then there is always a quiz. So then you go on your own time, and if you need to, you can watch the video, you can watch the recording, and then you submit the quiz. And I grade the quiz, and you have to get 100% on the quiz. So if you don't, then I let you know, hey, you missed 1 or 2, and which ones you missed, and you get to review so that you learn. We also have study group. So we have a separate study group that we run. So for people that work well in study groups, you learn from me, and then you can get together at scheduled times and work with other students and study together, look at eyes and work on quizzes together, and I call it homework, but we have the study group. So you kind of have all of the above. You have live instruction with me, and then the study group, and then also you can watch the recordings and all that. So
you take pictures of of somebody's eye maybe and bring that like homework to the class, and then tell what you see, kind of like?
That's a case study. We do that in level 2. In level 1, it's pretty much you're learning all about the eye. I mean, we go through the anatomy and physiology of the eye. We go into all of the different constitutions, the subtypes, the pigments. There are just so many things, all the different rings and what they mean. So the first, so you're looking at about 30, well, let's see what I figured out. 18 and 24, whatever that is. So what is that? 24, 40, so about 42 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's instruction with me. And so in level 2, we do reviews, and then we do case studies where I'll show you eyes. You get to draw. So that's what the students are doing now, is they're kind of in the, there's still the quizzes where there's question answer and things like that, but then they also get to draw. So we not only is it just listening to me and learning on the analytical side, but then you also get to draw. And that kind of helps bring it all together, so that you can really get it in your brain as to what it looks like and what it means. And you get to use your artistic side. And there's all kinds of things we do. We do all kinds of things.
And the discount?
We do offer a discount for people that are already taking classes and that are students. Yes.
Okay.
So if you want a discount, you want to talk to me separate.
Okay.
Send me a message and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
And we do have flexible payment plans. So, okay. Anything else, Vera?
Question.
No? Okay. Yes.
Okay. How much in demand is iridology? Like, I mean, before I listened to one of your webinars, I just had heard of it, but I was kind of clueless as to what it was. But I mean, a lot of people seek out an iridologist to evaluate them? I mean, is it something in high demand? Is it economy based driven? Can you tell me more information about that?
Sure. It really depends on where you live. And right now, all of us being on this lockdown, that sitting in front of a client, you can't do that. So the remote readings have been pretty steady. It really depends on where you live, and you have to build your clientele. I mean, building a business is all about promoting yourself. And I always suggest everybody get out there and give away the information in the beginning. Let everybody know, hey, this is what I'm doing. You know, when you start taking the class, you let everybody know, hey, I'm looking at eyes. Can I, and they're going to, you know, I'm learning iridology, and, you know, tell all your friends and look at everybody's eyes, and it's, you know, and build your clientele. If you already have a business, it's easy to add it. You know, we have massage therapists and colon therapists, and, you know, they add iridology to their already existing business. So that's pretty easy. You just market it to them, let them know. You know, and iridology, you know, since I've been doing it for 30 years, it's picked up. There's a lot of interest, I can tell you that. I'm constantly getting people that are interested in, you know, in learning iridology and in having their eyes read. So depending on where you are and the market, you know, you kind of have to feel around and see the market. What one person might charge in one area, you know, you may charge a different rate in your area. And, you know, but I have really seen it pick up. Through this whole lockdown, I have been incredibly busy. And the fact that you can do this remotely by people using their cell phones and taking pictures of their eyes and sending them to you, that opens up iridology even more, that you don't have to have the client sitting in front of you. You know, once a month I work at the health food stores, and I go in there and I have a table and I'm booked. So, you know, you can find some place where you can get out into the public and offer that service, work with a health food store like I do. You can promote yourself and offer the service and get your name out there. You know, it's all about letting people know what you do. And so, but there again, it really depends on where you live, and if people are open in your area to, you know, to alternatives to iridology, and then making those connections, you know, finding massage therapists and finding acupuncturists and chiropractors and, you know, all these people, and making connections and letting them know, hey, you know, I'm studying iridology, I'm doing iridology, I'd like to, you know, make some kind of a, you know, a win-win, have a win-win situation here, make, you know, where maybe you refer clients to them and they refer clients to you. There's all kinds of things that you can do. You know, it's all about building business, and I could go on and on, but I don't want to keep talking.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing. So just a thought that I had. So do you find that people that are more into, say, self-care, or you know, more into holistic care, like I know here in Chicago, like we have some areas that's got a lot of millenniums in them, and so it's like areas like that would probably be good to target, because those people are, that they want to know they're willing to invest in themselves.
Yep. That's a good age group. Yeah, and I'm sure there's health food stores in that area. That's how I start. The way I started is I just started I started in a chiropractor's office, and she let me do these little 1 hour, you know, where I gave a little 10-minute talk, a little intro to iridology. I talked about it, and then I had my camera and I took pictures of people's eyes. I charged $20. And I took pictures of their eyes, and I sat down with them for 10 minutes and told them about a couple things in their eyes. And, you know, I did that for, you know, a couple, you know, 2-3 hours. And I would do that like once a week. And, you know, you just build, it just builds on itself. And if you, you know, that old saying, that old commercial, you know, if you please one person, they're going to go tell, you know, 5 people. If you, you know, while you're studying, you let them know, hey, I'm learning about the eyes, and I just learned about this. And they're going to say, oh, look at my eyes. Do I have that in my eye? You know, and then they're going to tell their friends, hey, guess what she's doing? You know, and then you promote professionally, you make those connections. And I did a lot of trades when I was in San Francisco. I traded iridology for massages, and all the time. So I got the better end of it. You know, I got the free massage, and then I did their eyes. And, you know, and you promote online. You know, the web is an incredible place. Facebook is huge. The interest is huge. So unless you live in, but, you know, I kind of live in the boonies, and it doesn't really matter. You know, I live up here in the foothills, and where my cell phone doesn't even work at my house. So, and you just have to promote.
Well, I have to tell you honestly, I found out about you on Facebook, and I have a good friend here in Chicago that is an iridologist, but she's just kind of hard to track down and blah, blah, blah. I can't seem to get her time. She's a good friend, but, you know, just when it comes to that, I can't track her down. But when I heard about you, I thought I would choose you just because of your teaching, your background, and your experience. And so
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you having that on Facebook. That's how you caught my attention.
I love to teach. I can look at eyes. I mean, I have to pull myself away from the computer. So you know, it's every eye tells a different story, and every person has their own life. And when you look at the eye and you connect it to the person, it's amazing. It's really amazing what you can see. So I do cover business building in the course. I have 2 guest speakers that cover business building. So all these things, you know, we cover, and we certainly don't let you go out into the world and not know what you're doing. So, you know, you're spending, somebody asked how much the class is. Our class is $1,300, and we have a payment plan. We have students, everybody's on a kind of a different payment plan based on what they can do. I have one lady that's paying me $25 a month, and most people pay $100. They'll put $300 down, pay $100 a month. It's flexible because we have so many students. We can be flexible, which is really nice, because that way everybody can take the class if they want to. And especially with the lockdown, we have some students that are in our class now that have had financial problems. And you know, we're flexible. We're willing to work with everybody. So if you're spending, you know, $1,300 in a class, we're not going to like certify you. We don't certify anyway. I teach you, and then IPA does the certification. So what I do is I go through and I teach you everything, and I get you ready to pass that certification, because that is a 4-hour certification through IPA that you have to pass. So I do all the training, and then give you a mock test and see if you can pass it. And if you can't, then we continue the tutoring. If you can, then we put you into IPA for the test. Once you pass that, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So it's a commitment. It's a big commitment. It's a commitment on time and money. But you know, I mean, you're seeing some of the comments, I'm sure, from some of our students. You know, they're moving through. They've completed. Some of them have completed level 1 now. I've still got a couple that are coming up with level 1, and now we're into level 2, and they're moving through. So I'll be really excited when they pass their exam. So.
Okay, and you mentioned, you had mentioned about, like, you can be on the computer a lot. You have to pull yourself away from the computer. Because I know for myself, I just was finishing up an aromatherapy class, and it seems like I was doing a lot of screen time, and it was really bothering my eyes. And I was wondering, is that something you have any thoughts on, since you deal with eyes? Do you have any suggestions, precautions, or does it show up in the eye?
Oh, well, the reason I'm on the computer so long looking at eyes is because I want to. I like to look at eyes.
Does it bother your eyes to all that screen time, or?
Sometimes I can get eye strain. I have to be careful. So, you know, I mean, I can be on, you know, especially when I'm putting presentations together, like this presentation, you know, I have to gather you know, pictures and crop them and put everything together, and it takes me time. And especially if I'm looking at something very small in the iris, you know, I'll get close to my screen and really, you know, look at it, you know, increase the eye. But, you know, I'll just pull myself away from the computer. As a student, you're not going to be doing that. You know, you're not going to be sitting there for hours looking at eyes. You know, you're going to be looking at what I teach you, learning what I teach you, and maybe going into study groups and studying with other students. But, you know, as an instructor, you know, I'm the one that's doing all these analysis in Facebook and looking at all these eyes and preparing all this information. As far as, you know, with your client, okay, let's say you go through the class and you have clients, you spend about an hour with them, you know, but only a little bit is, you take their picture and you put it up on the screen and you go through it. on the screen with them, whether it be over a Zoom, if it's a remote reading, or in person when the lockdown is lifted. You know, you spend an hour with them, and only a part of that is on computer. The rest of it, you're talking to them, and you're talking to them about lifestyle and diet and, you know, how to improve things. So, you know, iridology is more than just looking at the eyes. It's you're working with somebody holistically, everything, you know, all around. And so, you know, and you're bringing them back and seeing them. Who are you waving at, Vera? So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, good night. Thank you.
You're welcome. What is the success rate of your students taking the IPA exam? How many of your students have successfully certified with IPA? How much does it cost to It's $200 to take the IPA exam. Is the IPA exam an open book? Yes, it is open book. And does the information need to be recalled from memory? It's open book. Everything is open book. Our courses are all open book. We follow a syllabus, and the IPA exam is open book. And so we help everybody get there. So all the quizzes that are taken in our course, we give answer keys to after you've completed the level. We give you all the answer keys so you can organize them, get them ready so that you have them, whatever books you have, your charts, your notes, so that you have it. It's all open book. I have not had any students take the IPA exam yet, because I just completed the whole process with IPA. So this will be, these students that are in this class now will be the first ones to pass the IPA exam. I figure they're going in probably in August. They'll be taking that. But you know what? As an instructor, I see how people are working in the class. I see the answers coming back on the quizzes and how well everybody's doing. And I can tell who might need a little bit more tutoring and who should be able to just do it really well, you know, pass it, no problem. And, you know, we don't let anybody go into the exam unless we know they're going to do well. The exam is 7 sections. Each section is graded separately. And if you don't pass, and you have to pass it at 80%, so B. If you don't pass one of those sections at 80%, then you can wait a week and take only that section again. And so it's, you know, it's not like it's the end of the world if you don't pass one section. But that's how IPA works it. If you want to be an instructor, then you have to pass, like I am, you have to pass the exam at 90%. So you have to get an A. And then there's a whole nother set of things that have to be completed in order to be an instructor. So, but if you're a student, then you just have to pass it at 8%. Let's see what else. Is the IPA exam an open book? Yes, it's open book. Refer to notes, yes. Or does the information need to be recalled from memory? It's all open book. Okay. If I have graduated from an iridology program already, can I take the exam? Probably, depends on, we'd have to find out. Also, you need anatomy and physiology, so you have to have anatomy and physiology to be able to take the exam. So there's kind of a step by step. So you can just PM me, let me know who you took the iridology program from, and if they were an IPA sanctioned school, or if they used an IPA core curriculum, then then we'll know whether or not you can just take the exam. Probably can always challenge the exam, as long as you know those core, you have to know those core, you know, the core information.
Okay, I have another question, Brenda, about that, because I really appreciate your experience, and I appreciate that you also trained under Dr. Jensen, because I'm with Nature Sunshine, and so it seems like so many people have trained under Dr. Jensen. But I know with the iridology, there's, you know, are there a lot of schools out there? Have you just like, you've been around it so long, have you taken the best of other schools and formulated it into your school? Because I know, like, when I was choosing an aromatherapy school, I went with an international one, because some of them were kind of fly by nights, and then some were you know, more academic, and some were more, like, I really appreciate how you say you have the study groups. You see if people need more attention and coaching, and I just think those are very valuable qualities that not all schools may offer that. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, you know, you obviously know the other schools out there, and what sets you apart?
Mhm. Well, we all know each other.
I know.
Iridology is a very small, you know, group. We all know of each other. We all work together. Okay, so anybody that's involved in IPA, we all have to teach the same curriculum. We have a syllabus that we have to follow, and we have to teach that core curriculum. So all of the people like David Pesic and Ellen Tart Jensen, which I'm sure you've heard of these people, Stephen Horn, Michael Salas, God, there's so many, Betty O'Brien, you know, all of us that are in IPA, that are instructors that teach, we all have to teach from the same syllabus. And then we also, in doing that, we also bring in our own experience, and we have our own case studies, and you know, we bring our own experience. So of course I bring my experience from, you know, working for 30 years. But there are 5 sanctioned schools listed on the IPA site. So those are the sanctioned schools. And then there are other iridology schools. It just depends really on what type of iridology you want to learn. I think that the comprehensive iridology is more accurate. You know, it's more accurate. And the other thing is it keeps you from getting in trouble. You cannot diagnose from the eye. You know, one of the things that Dr. Jensen, he really scared us, and I'll never forget when we were down there. I almost didn't follow through on iridology because, you know, he scared us, you know, about, you know, diagnosing from the eye, and you can go to jail, blah, 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 and all this stuff. So one of the things about comprehensive iridology is that you don't diagnose and you don't prescribe. So you use the information that from the research, and that we look at the iris from its structure and its color, from genetic standpoint. So that keeps you from diagnosing. And I think it's more accurate. I mean, if you watch the comments on the Facebook group, you know, people say, wow, how did you know that? It's very accurate. And IPA is an amazing organization, and they are extremely strict. They're very strict. They have their set of goals and requirements, and I appreciate that. I really don't want some fly-by-night organization. I'm not going to be, you know, I've been out there too long to be involved in something that is going to give my name a bad name, you know?
Right. I just wanted to add another thing that I just wanted to mention, you know, my own personal motivation. You know, and I imagine for most people, they just want better health. Everybody wants better health, more energy, feel better, blah, blah, blah. But I know with my circumstance, I know you keep mentioning about genetics, I think, and the tendencies that are there. And for me, I didn't really know my birth father. My parents were married 4 years, and he left my mom when she's pregnant. So I have no clue on the other side of the family tree. And I think that that's very common nowadays. It wasn't so common when I was growing up, but it's very, very common nowadays because a lot of people don't know the other side of their family tree. And it's like the eyes will give you indicators. It may not tell you mom or dad, right? But it gives you clues or things to look for to pay attention for your body. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, you're correct and incorrect. It will tell you which is the father. Okay, the right eye shows the father. Okay, the
Oh,
left side shows the mother.
well, I was
So
always taught the right is always the mom because mom's always right, but the right is the father,
no, no,
right?
no, no, no. In iridology, the right eye is the father. So for
Oh,
somebody that doesn't know their father, they can still follow the line through the eyes. So you can still learn about your predispositions coming down on your father's side, even if you don't know your father.
oh, fascinating.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool because
I
he's got,
told you, iridology is amazing. It's incredible. If
my
it
father,
wasn't, I wouldn't be sitting here looking at eyes.
yeah. So I'm
So,
glad to know that because it's like I'm clueless. I have no connection at all with that side of the family, and he died 20 years ago. So I don't know anything, and I really would like to know.
well,
It's
it's
my
interesting that you say that. It's interesting you say that because I have been doing research. My son, I showed you his blue eye. My son has a completely different iris structure than myself or my husband. It's like he doesn't even belong to us. And so I have been looking at family members on both sides, trying to find his iris type to see where his genes are coming from on both sides. I have yet to find them. So it's very interesting. You can, even though you might not know that side of the family, you can still learn a lot about your health and your predispositions and where they're coming from.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That means a lot. So
Sure.
I look
You're
forward
welcome.
to, working with you in the future on this.
Sure. You're welcome. Any other questions or comments before we call it a night?
Just thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Because if you weren't here, I wouldn't be doing this. So, and I wouldn't be able to have this webinar. I've recorded it, and I will send. I'll put this in my Dropbox, and I'll send the link out so you can watch it again if you want to, or forward it to somebody one of your friends that might be interested, or just let them know that it's available if they want to know. So, everybody, have a great night, and thank you again for being here.